When I was 7, my great-aunt Alice taught me to crochet. From a very early age, I was captivated by all creative endeavors, happily spending hours alone, painting, sculpting, drawing, and just making. So imagine my delight when she pressed a hook into my hand, pulled out a ball of yarn, and said, "Let's get started." My first stitches were clumsy and chaotic, yet with perseverance, the yarn began to move slowly through my fingers, and eventually I found a comforting rhythm. Loop over, pull through 2, loop over, pull through 2. Great Aunt Alice also showed me how to turn at the end of a row, go back the way you came, and how to add more yarn when needed, leaving the ends dangling so they could be woven in later. "Be careful with those loose ends," she said. "If you pull on them, everything will unravel." Under her patient guidance, crochet began to feel instinctive. In time, I could do it without thinking or looking. Reflecting on this, crochet seems to be a perfect metaphor for how I lived much of my life. One stitch following another without pause, marking days, months, years, knotting together the fabric of a human life. A small swatch that grew steadily, the yarn intertwined with loss and grief, happiness and joy, terror, heartbreak, wonder, and awe. Eventually, that swatch became a sweater. I slipped it on, it fit perfectly and was comfortable and familiar. Wow, I thought, I've gotten really good at this. So I simply kept at it, adding stitch after stitch, without ever even taking that sweater off. Due to the laws of cause and effect, the shape of my sweater changed. Sleeves lengthened, soon dragging around my knees. The hem twisted unevenly and grew unwieldy. The yarn turned coarse and scratchy. Soon, I was encased in something heavy and unrecognizable. I struggled to work the yarn around the needle, yet I stubbornly clung to what I knew. Loop over, pull through 2. Eventually, my body was completely swallowed by a tangled mass of knots and memory. And so I lived a long while, bound by my own creation. This is how I arrived at the temple, about 2.5 years ago. Any attempts I had made to battle my way out of what I had created had proven futile, for, as the saying goes, what you resist persists. But from the first moment I sat on the mat, I felt the possibility of liberation, and not just for myself, but for all. It was this sense of bodhicitta, the bodhisattva ideal, this aspiration to eliminate the suffering of all sentient beings that initially drew me in. However, it was the threefold practice of spiritual cultivation, inquiry, and wise choice in action as central tenets of Won Buddhism that kept me returning. The idea that these practices, when undertaken together, form a path toward transformation and unity resonated deeply, filling me with a profound and abiding sense of hope. I returned week after week, Sometimes I pulled weeds, sometimes watered the garden, but mostly I sat, touching silence and stillness. In that stillness, the tight space that had long enclosed me began to stretch, to breathe. Light slowly filtered in. My own breath deepened, and I rested in what I came to realize was actually a beautiful cocoon. This brings us to the present moment, a celebration of self-transformation and devotion to this path. I am here. We are all here through the grace of heaven and earth, the grace of parents and ancestors, the grace of fellow beings, and the grace of universal laws that uphold harmony and justice. Through this grace, I rest within a cocoon of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Through this grace, those loose ends that were never woven in, but that I could not reach myself, are gently pulled by my teachers and my Sangha family, so that the knots that have bound me for so long begin to loosen and unravel, opening a way to awakening. Thank you all. My heart is so full.